Welcome to the fourth item of Backstage at the Military. We're now visiting the stables, and with us is Frans van Meggelen, who is responsible for the stables, and he's going to show us a backstage look at the stables. So Frans, we are looking here behind at I see a lot of trailers and everything, so what is that?
Well, this is what we call the lorry park. This is where all the horse boxes have arrived in the last few days. Today is Sunday morning, so of course we had a few people that had to retire yesterday, so they didn't finish the cross country, and those are more or less on the brink of leaving. Sadly, the leaving at this moment is a bit complicated, as we can see here, because we need decent tractors to get these lorries, which can be 12 or 14 tons, to get them out. So we're just watching one. Luckily, I have guys around that are good enough to handle these tractors and to handle this sort of lorries, because otherwise we would be totally lost.
We have some containers there, yeah? Okay, what are those containers?
Those containers are for the muck. We try to separate the waste, so we have muck containers. Nothing else should get in there, so that we can use the muck on the fields, and the farmers are happy to plow it in. You see shavings, bales of shavings. They can take them as much as they like. At the end of the line.
What is the shavings for?
Shavings is for the horses.
And is that for in the stables or for food? Or?
No. Some horses, luckily horses don't eat shavings. It's just shaved wood. And nowadays it's much more easy to have horses on shavings. You can control what they eat, because there are horses that eat a lot of straw. Secondly, shavings are very handy because you can take out the muck separately, so you don't use that much amount of shavings comparable to the amount of straw you would normally use. So a lot of these, I think 90% is on shavings. Hardly anyone has horses during competition on straw. Then at the end of this line, you see our village, our offices, and some more accommodation for riders during the evening. And this is where it's all about. This is the tent where all the stables and the horses are situated. This tent is 80 times 25 meters.
Okay, Frans, so I see here at the side of the stable tent, I see sort of ditches with plastic, so what's that all about?
That is my drainage system, and this also saves my sleep during the night. It is always a problem with a tent and stables that you occur the problem that you get water in your tent, and that the tent gets wet inside, and that there's a lot of water on the floor. We had that problem also, and to be honest, I hated it, because there are still competitions that have 10 or 15 centimeters water inside that tent, so people have to walk in water all the time. If you found a problem, and the problem is that it rains sometimes in Holland, and this is an enormous tent, 80 by 25 meters, so you can imagine what amount of water comes from the roof. Now, the water comes from the roof, runs uncontrollable along the side, and gets into your tent, because every area in Holland is more or less a bit angled. Now, you found a problem, because it's water coming from the top and not from underneath. You found a problem, now how to solve it? I put plastic on the floor first, and the tent is built on that plastic. I have slides of 2 meters wide, 50 centimeters goes to the inside, and 1.5 meters on the outside. I pull up the plastic on the inside, and I be very careful about the smallest holes or partitions that are not complete or not connected correctly, etc.
You do this yourself?
I do this myself. I don't rely on anyone. As I do it myself, I can only blame myself, but I will make certain that I don't have to blame myself. Now, what is the disadvantage of water is that it always looks for the lowest point. Now, I turn this into my advantage, because the water can't go inside, because there's a wall of about 40 centimeters of plastic, and on the outside there's only maybe a 5 centimeter wall. So it runs to the outside, into the ditch and off. We had probably 50-60 millimeters of rain here, and my whole tent, there's not one drop of water. So you can imagine that saves me a lot of sleepless nights.
And is this already adapted by other events?
I don't know. I do arrive at a lot of events, but even I don't have stable access at other events, and quite rightly so, because access is limited, and in the rules are those persons that should be allowed in, and I'm not one of them, so I don't even apply, because I know how hard life is. With people that want to enter the stable yard, no problem at all. So I don't know whether it's adapted, but if somebody sees this and thinks, well, could you exactly tell me how it works? Contact Boekelo, and I'm more than happy to send a drawing how it's done.
Good. So we're going to take a look now inside of the stables. You're going to walk us through and tell a little bit along the way, right?
That's okay.
Okay, thank you. So Frans, we are very honored that we can take a look inside of the stables. So talk us through, what are we seeing here?
Well, this is the place to be, in my view. I started being assistant stable manager in 1974. The event started in 71, and became totally responsible for the whole stabling and the accommodation for grooms, etc., etc. in 1976, and I also became a committee member in 76. So I'm long overdue, but I'm still there. Here are all the horses stabled in this tent. You see 4 rows of stable, then double row in the middle, and 2 single rows on the outside. And you see how quiet, how comfortable, how easygoing it is here, and that's how it should be. If horses are here, then they should have the possibility to rest, etc. Grooms have to plait them or to feed them, and there should be no hustle. People should know where they are, and that is realized here totally.
Does every team or every country has a group of boxes, or how does this work?
We stable nationalities together. Mostly they travel together. Of course, they don't need a lorry for one horse. They put horses together on one lorry, and most of these lorries can take 3 or 4 or 5 horses. That saves transport costs, and life is difficult enough and also expensive enough. So they travel together, and they help each other out. So if possible, we put nationalities together in groups of boxes.
We continue our journeys through the stables. So is there something else that's very specific about how you run these stables? I mean, logistics-wise, how does this go with planning and etc.? How long each day, etc.?
Well, you plan this, and the planning is not so difficult anymore. Our tent builder Neptunus knows exactly what tent I need. We have the stables from Brinko near Utrecht. They only cover. I only have to call them how many stables I would prefer, and when the time of arrival should be. And the rest of all the logistics is now a matter of routine, because, as I said, I do this since 1976. And you do it more or less from scratch, but also you rely on the ones that are involved, and they are all very reliable people.
And your office, because you told they have an office here, is this for the contact with the teams? And how late do you open and how late do you close this office every day?
Well, the office is more or less open from 7 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock in the evening. The stables are similar times, although during the dressage days and on the days on forehand, we mostly close the stables around 10:30. That doesn't mean that the grooms don't have access at all, but then they have to call in at the guard and say, well, I want to visit my horse, and most of the time they are accompanied then by somebody.
That, I think, is a good closing of this tour through the stables. I thank you very much, Frans, for talking to us. This is the end of item number 4, Backstage at the Military. We'll see you in the next item. Thank you.